Welcome back. Africa Productivity Specialist aims to improve productivity in business. Africa Productivity specializes in operations and productivity improvement company, aiming to implement the productivity agenda on the African continent by using technology as an enabler to improve productivity. The company is currently spearheading an initiative known as the Smart Village Project in Edundja village in the Ohangwena region. The project aims to achieve sustainable groundwater management, boost agricultural activity, and strengthen the economic resilience of rural communities. To tell us more on productivity improvement is Ndeu Naukushu, the founder of Africa Productivity, or an African productivity specialist. Ndeu, a very good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining us on Business Today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Ndeu, what is Africa Productivity Specialist and what is it all about? And then how long have you essentially been, or how long has it essentially been in existence?
So, as you alluded in the introduction, Africa Productivity Specialist is an operations and productivity improvement company which harnesses the power of technology in order to increase productivity, and we aim to institutionalize productivity improvement on a national, regional, as well as continental level. The idea of Africa Productivity Specialist has been around for a long time, but formally registered in January 2017.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned a very important point, the ICT and linking ICT to productivity. Looking at the rate of penetration of technology in general on the African continent, how are you dealing with some of the challenges that are posed, that come about as a lack of inadequate penetration, for example, looking at even from within a Namibian context? And I'm so sorry to digress there.
No problem.
Yeah.
So the thing is, as humans, we've always tried to do things and extend our natural capabilities. And it started with using tools, and then tools became more sophisticated and it turned into technology. Now, the reason for technology is to make our lives more easier. But then I would like to then bring it back to productivity, just to give a context of the technology. It's rather challenging. It's rather challenging. And we are facing a very serious challenge when it comes to technology. We are facing a challenge of the reshoring of global manufacturing to advanced economies. Let me explain what that means. Companies, especially multinationals, have realized that cheap labor is no longer a competitive advantage. Now what they're doing is they are taking back their operations back to their countries where they have highly trained people who can operate the factories and write the algorithms that the repetitive work is no longer needed. So if we need now to understand what technology is and how we can use it to our own good in order for us to make life easier for ourselves. So if we do not change our industrialization models, especially the developing countries, it's going to be a problem. That is why we were so dependent on technology coming from outside. So if they cut off that supply of technology, because it's all about the knowledge economy now, we need to work together collaboratively in order for us to design technology for us, by us, for our needs, catered to our specific and unique needs. So there is a challenge in penetration, but that's a collaborative effort. It will take a collaborative effort in order for us to bridge that gap.
Very, very interesting point then. Now, what would you say prompted you to focus on the implementation of the productivity agenda in Namibia?
It took some introspection. I was thinking for the longest time, what is it that we are doing or we are not doing in order to advance in life? And by we, I mean Africa, and by Namibia as an extension. And then I got to realize that all the other continents actually have a continental productivity body that regulates the productivity output of all industries. That is why they're so advanced. So I was like, is there one in Africa? There is actually. I got to meet the people in charge, and I must say, in all honesty, it's the least productive organization you are ever going to meet. But somebody needs to do it, so that is how the need came about.
What are some of the challenges companies are facing as they try to be productive in their operations now, considering your analysis and your review of what is going on in Namibia and also, of course, in sub-Saharan Africa in general?
Well, first of all, it's a leadership thing. So the leaders, the people who own the companies, who run the companies, they need to know about productivity, and they need to initiate these productivity initiatives, and more importantly, policies, productivity policies. There is a lack of productivity policy, and I think, Maurice, the biggest challenge for us as Namibia, we do not even have a national productivity policy. So there is nothing to regulate the output of various industries, whether manufacturing, service, and mostly so the public sector. Yeah. So a lack of policy means there is nothing to guide or a framework for productivity improvement, and that is a big challenge. And again, obviously, the awareness of productivity. It's a term we throw around. That was your day, the productive day.
Right.
You had a busy day. Doesn't mean you had a productive day. Yeah. So.
Ndeu, if I was to say that, considering the state of our economy and where we are as a country, we are fairly very extractive in nature, also very primary and secondary sector focused, or primary and secondary, again, sector focused. So the challenge now in terms of moving up the rungs, as it were, in terms of productivity, adding additional value, beneficiation. So all of these buzzwords, quote unquote buzzwords, are they all for nothing? Are we not somewhere where we can essentially and essentially say, look, we can add additional value by increasing productivity, by increasing the knowledge, or shortening the knowledge, the knowledge curve, or climbing that knowledge curve even much faster and much quicker?
So the main thing when it comes to improving any sector of the economy is, so we have to look at two things, two pieces, people and processes. But the most important, especially from a national economy, is its people. So we're an extractive industry, as you said. And if it's one thing that all Namibians agree on is we have so many resources. Why are we living in squalor? Why is unemployment so high? So clearly, we have what we need to develop. So what is needed? It is the people and the skills to actually develop and derive the most value from the resources that we have. And for that, we need to, first of all, unpack an individual industry. What is it that we have? What is its value? Is it for local consumption, or is it for export?
Right.
And then in terms of that, how do we then, the beneficiation question, how do we beneficiate the resources? And that's also another buzzword. You hear it in all the conferences, beneficiation. How does it look like?
Yeah.
And who does it? So it all comes down to the individuals, to the people, to the training, to the awareness, to the policies. Because one trend that I picked up when international companies come, they hire cleaners and whatnot in the name of creating jobs.
Right.
But I can guarantee you one thing, they will not teach you the value of your resource, otherwise you are going to hike the prices.
Ndeu, and this is where you come in as a productivity specialist, I suppose.
Yes.
All right. And let's change gears a bit. Talk to us about the initiative of the Smart Village that you are currently busy with.
It's a very exciting project. Maurice, when you look at traditional development trajectory, it's always centered around the urban areas.
Right.
And the least impacted is always the village. I was born in a village, I have a home in the village, I go there several times a year. So I think, and I mean the whole smart movement.
Right.
So I'm like, why can we not create a smart village? And then as I pondered along, I realized we can actually. So spoke to the chief, mobilized some senior members from the village. We brainstormed on a few ideas on what is it that you guys need, because I cannot come and say you need this, this, and that. They live in the village. So through consultative, we came up with a framework. Through our networks, we got some researchers from abroad and from Namibia They came to live with me in the village for a week. We mapped out the whole village. We actually now have a map of our village. I don't know if there's any other village that actually has a map of its village, so that was an achievement in its own, just so that we know, okay, what is the square kilometer, what are the parts, because the whole smart village is based on 4 pillars, which is agriculture, internet connectivity, electricity, and water management. So we did the soil samples because we need to move away from this mahangu. It's killing us. It's not taking us anywhere. It's long overdue. Not just move away, but supplement it. So we did some soil samples, testing with soil, and we came up with suggestions of what other crops can we actually use and what other crop rotation processes can we bring. And the water management aspect, that's a very important one. And it's a challenge. Yeah. It's not, we didn't find a solution, but it's one of those challenges that we are working towards, and it's very critical in order for us to really achieve the whole smart village. And this is not one of those 2-year projects. This is a lifestyle. This is a lifetime. Just the same way development in the urban areas is not 2024. It's every day, every year, we continuously have to improve our lives. So
you touched a bit there on water management. The Ohangwena region, the region which I hail from, and I'm glad to meet a comrade from my region, is said to have massive water deposits, underground water. How are you planning to taking advantage of this natural resource in the future to improve productivity in the region?
And I think that's actually one of the main reasons why it made sense. Like, you know what, we can actually turn this into a smart village and ultimately a region because of that water deposit. We have done research here and there, spoken to a few people. We even drilled. We didn't get positive results, and it's not a cheap exercise either. But we'll continue engaging. We'll continue engaging the ministry and all relevant stakeholders so that we can really optimally use this resource. Like, I mean, if we can find a breakthrough with that, it's going to be a game changer for Namibia.
So what are some of the objectives and aims that the project will have on the Edundja village? You did mention electricity, connectivity, agriculture, and of course then water. You also alluded a bit on the mapping of the area. You spoke about the some of the projects that you are trying to sustainable farming methods on the land. How does this project aim to not only benefit the people of the village, but then obviously try to scale that to most communities within that particular region? The
main purpose is food security. Because when you look at, you're from Ohangwena, as you said, when you look at the setup of the village, every single homestead, no matter how rich or poor, has a field.
Right.
We're always talking about how land. If you have land, you have means of production. Now, means of production that are not producing anything, that are dependent on the rain, that are dependent on 1 or 2 crops, is not really taking the people far. That is why the need for this. So everything is surrounded around and centered around food security. If we can optimize the use of our land through growing food, and that's where the water comes in. It's critical. We can never ever move away from the water part, and then we can change the lives of the people in Edundja. And ultimately, because if, for example, Edundja is 130 homesteads. Every homestead, if you take a hectare of land, can actually feed 2 homesteads. Now, 1 village can feed 2 villages, so there's a multiplier effect to that. But obviously, that's the future. That's the ideal position we would want to be in. But the immediate effect is really food security, just for people to be able to have that dignity.
Right.
You must remember one thing: a village is not only a physical location; it's actually also a way of thinking. When someone says you think like a villager, it's not alluding to your place of the location. It's mentality. And for someone to say that, it means you are not exposed, you lack certain knowledge. So we need to change that. Someone cannot be innovative on an empty stomach. So let us get the first things first out of the way. So it's all about food security, and then everything else that comes with human dignity and human development.
Ndeu, it is very important to try and understand how involved are you trying to get the communities or the community involvement? To what degree and to what extent would you like them to be? The ones that you've currently engaged, and obviously the ones that you would want to engage in future?
We want the whole community to be involved. And I must say, and I'm proud to say, that the level of involvement is amazing. And for me, I think that was the biggest win, you know, just having villagers work together. This is not something that we see often. That's why I told you my first point of contact was the headman.
Yeah.
And then, because me explaining this will just look weird. It will look like a political campaign, you know. But the headmen and the elders, they are the ones responsible for disseminating the message to the villagers. So there's really a high level of community involvement, which is a beautiful thing, because without collaboration, without that harmonious collaboration, it will not be possible. Yeah.
I think, and I'm so sorry to be putting you on the spot so much this evening, youth involvement is also another big thing, because you did speak about food security. You spoke about, now you just alluded to you know, getting the communities involved, knowing what the makeup of these communities, it varies in ages, and also capacity. Also, you know, are we looking at getting more youths involved? Again, you are touching on very important sectors of the economy. ICT is a big one. Getting a lot of them involved in on the ICT perspective. You know, connectivity, agriculture, again, food security. It goes without saying.
Yeah, so I think the youth is our most, those are our focal point. So as part of the research that we did, we also went to the school. And then we got to see the condition of the school.
Yeah.
And it's, it's not surprising to see in a condition like this, you will not expect anyone to come out with brilliant ideas.
Right.
Because the environment is very important. So the youth is a critical part. About 3 weeks ago, I was in the village, put together 10 youths. So we started with the physical environment of the school. We cleaned that up. We got some equipment, dustbins, shovels, donated, I don't like to use the word donate, assisted them with it, and then we cleaned up.
Yeah.
So it was a beautiful feeling, or it's just looking at the airport, and you could see the pride in the people. They all went to school there, so it's all about the youth.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can never move away from the youth.
And there we are, unfortunately, out of time. But you know, before I let you go, just briefly allude to some of the policy perspectives. What needs to be done in regards to policies to make local businesses in your village, in villages of this nature, more productive? Briefly, though, we don't have a lot of time.
First of all, we need to have policies, you know. So we have drafted a few policies with regard to the agricultural aspect of it, but it's something like that cannot be implemented from a village level.
Right.
As much as we are focusing on the village, it has to come from much higher up, from the regional council all the way up to the parliament. So policies, because I know we're running out of time. So the whole productivity thing, it comprises of 3 components. There's an awareness. So you need to make someone aware of what productivity is and the potential benefits thereof. There's the training. You need to train them in productivity tools and techniques. But in order for you to train them, there needs to be a policy guiding everything. There needs to be a reference point. So policy is very important. If we know our challenges, 33 years, or 32, 30, however many years of independence, we must know our problems by now. So that is not something that requires that much attention. It's a matter of being deliberate about what are we targeting first.
Right.
Yeah.
Ndeu, I could keep you here all night and discuss and unpack a lot of these programs with you, but unfortunately we're out of time. We'll definitely make it a point to get you back on business today, and we'll be keeping an eye on your progress.
I'm looking forward to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ndeu. That was Ndeu Naukushu, the founder of Africa Productivity Specialists, discussing the company's efforts to improve productivity among communities, to boost agricultural productivity and strengthen the economic resilience of rural communities. Coming up next are the financial indicators.